If you don't know Gulfair, you have to watch this video. And if you know Gulfair, you have to watch this video. Why? Well, to find out, you have to watch this video. But to keep it brief, in this trip report I'm going to share what the flight experience on one of the OG carriers from the Gulf feels like. Whether you are watching because you're planning to travel with Gulfair, or because you're just interested in planes, or because you clicked on this video to randomly complain in the comments that I was hating on your favorite airline in another video, in this trip report of me flying Gulfair, I've got you all covered. But well, actually to be honest, it's not me who's flying this time, as you might notice by the color of the hair. Do you remember how in my video on Etihad Airways I sent my wifey Pajaree to Asia while I stayed in Europe? Well, turns out she didn't really like the idea of me sending her away, and surprisingly after some time she wanted to come back to me. As the romantic I am, I promised her a charming vacation in an ex-Soviet country as an apology for sending her away. So when it was time for her to go to the city that I like to call the Ohio of the East, Gulfair was the most interesting option on the table. The first leg of her flight was operated on a 787 Dreamliner, flying from Bangkok Suvarnabhumi, or Suvarnabhumi as they call it, for almost 7 hours up to Bahrain. I won't cover the second part of the flight operated on a A320 in this video, because never settle for second when first is available. So yeah, enough with the blah blah, and let's swap tuk-tuks for camels. As I've just said, today's journey starts in Bangkok. The cheapest, fastest and most reliable way to get to Suvarnabhumi is by using the airport rail link, which costs 45 Thai baht and takes you from the city center to the airport in under 30 minutes. If you have plenty of bags, however, a taxi might be the better choice, since it can get quite crowded on the train and at the station. In case you go by taxi, I urge you to leave as early as possible, as the traffic can be insane, and I guess you don't want to miss your flight. Also, because the taximeters sometimes magically break down when foreigners enter a cab, I suggest you to use ride-hailing apps with fixed prices such as Grab or Bolt. When ordering on those apps, consider that Bangkok has 2 international airports and make sure you select the right one. Pajaree arrives at the airport almost 4 hours before departure time, since currently Suvarnabhumi is extremely busy. When Thailand closed its borders during the Rona, passenger numbers collapsed. However, from 5.6 million in 2021, the passenger volume recovered to 28.8 million in 2022 and 51.7 million in 2023. So if you fly from Bangkok in the high season, which lasts from November to March, I advise you to be there early. But now let's walk past the crowds and head to the M counters where the Gulfair check-in is located. Despite waiting for quite a long time, check-in goes smoothly and the staff at the counter is friendly. Online check-in at Gulfair is possible but not mandatory. And even in Economy Light, 23 kg of checked-in luggage is included in the fare. After waiting some time at the security and passport control, she finally made it and is ready to head over to the D gates from where Gulfair leaves. Even though there are many shopping and dining options at BKK, it is advisable to plan in enough time for your way to the gate, since walking distances can be relatively far. As the second largest airport in Southeast Asia, right after Singapore Changi, and the 17th busiest airport in the world, Bangkok Suvarnabhumi is quite big. Opened in 2006, Suvarnabhumi was intended to replace the completely overloaded Bangkok Don Mueang Airport, which is now primarily used by low-cost airlines for short and medium-haul flights. However, the start was not easy for BKK Airport, as in the first few years there were quite a few initial difficulties. Those difficulties included luggage handling issues, long delays, failures with the check-in system, departure boards displaying the wrong information, some issues with the Pattaya Mafia, and a declined renewal of the airport safety certificate by the Department of Civil Aviation. In Thailand, a deeply spiritual country, many started to blame ghosts and bad demons for those problems. While I don't believe in these kind of things at all, I'm however still going to tell you the following story, since I found it rather interesting. Suvarnabhumi was built on an ancient cemetery called the Cobra Swamp, which led the airport receiving the title of the most haunted airport in the world. Other reported incidents included unexplainable fatal accidents of airport staff, passengers appearing at the jet bridge without an airplane being parked there, numerous reports of strange noises and a blue ghost roaming the terminal. The 2 incidents of planes losing control and sliding off the runway were also blamed on demons. In order to get rid of any potential demons, the airport's executives decided to call in 99 Buddhist monks who carried out a 9-week procedure of praying and exorcism before the travel hub was declared fit for flying. As Pajaree can confirm, at the time of boarding, the gate was absolutely demon-free, but packed with very real beings. When arriving at D7, a Boeing 787 Dreamliner of Gulfair is already waiting and ready to board. Boarding is through the front door, which gives us a glimpse into the business class. After that, we get to the economy class, which is laid out in a standard 333 configuration. At first glance, the cabin as well as the crew make a good impression. The same goes for the seats. There are adjustable headrests and the seats are comfortable. In the front, there is a foldable tray table, which is clean and spacious. Integrated on the outside of the table, you will get the small cup holder where you can keep your open beverages without having to unfold the tray table. Below that, there is a seat pocket that contains headphones for in-flight use. Meanwhile, the safety card is not stored in the seat pocket, but in a storage for literature above the table. A menu or an in-flight magazine cannot be found. However, there is an in-flight entertainment, but more on that after we take off. Before pushback, the crew hands out an amenity kit, which is something most airlines don't provide in economy class. Other than socks, it also contains an eye mask and earplugs, which is great for a red-eye flight. One small drawback is that there are no individual air vents. Otherwise, Gulfair has been convincing so far. But can Gulfair also keep up with Emirates and the like during the actual flight? After all, the carrier has been heavily pushed into the corner by other Gulf airlines in recent decades, which was harmful to both the route network and the potential of Gulfair. Whether and how this harms the service in the air, we will find out after takeoff. By the way, if you are interested in getting the cheapest flights, check the first link in the video description or scan this QR code if you are watching my content on a TV. But now, let's take off. Having left Bangkok behind, it is now time to have a closer look at Gulfair's in-flight entertainment system. At first glance, it looks quite convincing. The interface is smooth and looks sleek. However, the choice appears to be smaller than in other airlines from this region of the world. For the first few flights, you maybe find some movie or TV show that fits your interest, but after that, there is not much left. The same goes for everything else that doesn't fall under the category of movies and TV shows. One of these categories would be music. Music. Yeah, here we go. So when it comes to music, You will be disappointed if you are a fan of rap, pop, techno, classical music, mating calls of humpback whales, or every other genre that isn't Middle Eastern folk music. Other than that, we've got some games like Angry Bird and a selection with ebooks containing an amount of no ebook. Shortly after takeoff, dinner, or I guess breakfast since it's already after midnight, is served. It consists of scrambled eggs, potatoes, yogurt, and a croissant served with butter and jam. Yeah, that's definitely breakfast. According to Pajaree, Westerners would rate this dish 9 out of 10. In other words, that basically means that there was no flavor or spice other than salt in the meal. The food was so bland and boring that after breakfast she fell straight asleep. Luckily, the middle seat was empty and a pillow as well as a blanket were provided free of charge. It's only when another breakfast, this time in the form of a bread roll, is served 6 hours later when she wakes up from her beauty sleep. Shortly after, the blankets and the headphones are collected by the staff. So, when it comes to the question if Gulf Air is better than Emirates, I think, well, it's irrelevant what I think since I never flew Gulf Air, but according to Pajaree, she likes Gulf Air more, mainly because the staff was exceptionally friendly, attentive and always smiling. On Emirates, the cabin crew is usually also excellent in my opinion, but I have the feeling that the service is slightly downgrading in a sense of that every flight with Emirates feels a little less exciting. Also, on our last flight from Singapore to Dubai on board Emirates A380, we were a bit unlucky with one of the crew. Obviously, this could also happen with Gulf Air. But I still can't wait to try out Bahrain's flag carrier for myself in order to give you a review in first person and to compare it with Emirates. However, let's put Emirates aside for a second and let's see how Gulf Air compares to Etihad. To find out that, click right here and watch my Etihad video. Otherwise, you are welcome to check out my video on the so-called Emirates of Europe, Cyprus Airways. Thank you so much for watching and see you next week with another trip report.